For today's news, an extensive emergency search and rescue effort is currently underway after it has been confirmed that a passenger that was sailing on board a Royal Caribbean cruise ship has plunged 100 feet into the ocean after going overboard. In breaking news, Disney Cruise Line has announced that they will be building 4 new additional cruise ships. This comes just after they somewhat recently had already announced that they had 4 others on the way, bringing the total to now 8 cruise ships. I will be giving the full details of both of these topics available so far as quick as I can. And at the end of the video, as per request by many of you out there, it's not cruise related. However, you have been asking that I commentate and give my opinion on the breaking, or as many of you know, breakdance category that took place in the Olympics. So I will do so if you're interested. So this horrific man overboard situation that is currently underway initially took place when a passenger was sailing on board Royal Caribbean's Explorer of the Seas. Now the ship was initially launched and began operation in the year 2000 as part of Royal Caribbean's Voyager class and holds just over 3,000 passengers at full capacity. It is currently over in Europe doing 7-day sailings out of Greece, exploring the Adriatic Sea. As far as the specific cruise this incident took place on, the sailing dates were between August 3rd through August 9th. This past Friday on August 9th, which was believed to be the last day of the cruise, at some point during the early morning hours, a passenger that was believed to be a British citizen, we don't know if it's a man or a woman, for some reason at some point in time plunged 100 feet into the ocean. There is the possibility that that passenger could have sustained some injuries. However, whenever the crew were alerted, they quickly dispatched their emergency response and contact local authorities, and now we have a search underway. Do keep in mind that this man overboard situation and search and rescue effort started on Friday, August 9th. So depending on when you're watching this video, that was anywhere between 48 to 72 hours ago. Typically, when search and rescue efforts happen like this after a man overboard situation, that is usually the average time slot in which authorities, Coast Guard, what have you, are searching. There are major factors that determine the time window, if you will, in which authorities are searching for somebody that has gone overboard. Factors, of course, such as the water temperature and the currents. Right now, over in the Adriatic Sea, where the authorities are looking for the passenger that's gone overboard, specifically near the remote island of Jabuka, the water is about 24 degrees Celsius or 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Due to the temperature factor alone, with it being warm waters in those areas, the authorities have extended their time by 12 hours, and they will continue doing these 12-hour intervals until they determine that, unfortunately or fortunately, they haven't or found the passenger. That is the updated information that we know of so far. I will make an updated video once we receive more information. Next up, in some Disney news, just on the glass slipper heels of the newest Disney cruise ship, the Disney Treasure, being floated out over at the Meyer Wharf shipyard in Germany, as it has completed its exterior. Now they're getting ready for construction on the insides and internals of the ship prior to its highly anticipated launch here in December of 2024. Disney has announced that they are building 4 more cruise ships. This is different from the other 4 cruise ships that they had initially announced. Up until this new news magically surfaced yesterday, we already had the Disney Treasure, we had the Disney Destiny and Adventure launching in 2025. We even had a second Disney Wish cruise ship that was going to be built and constructed for the Asian market. While there has been little to no information put out about these 4 additional Disney ships, all we know is that they will be built and launched between the years 2027 and 2031. As far as the reasoning as to why this is happening, well, Disney has made it very simple. It's due to high demand and, of course, all of the opportunity that is currently circulating and sailing within the cruise ship industry. So now that the news is out of the way, let's hip hop and bebop into some Olympics. For many of you out there that have reached out to me as far as my opinion on what took place at the Olympics, specifically a certain individual from Australia with a kangaroo dance, we'll get into all of that. However, for those of you that don't know, I am a professional b-boy, a professional breaker, or as many of you know it to be, break dancer. I've been doing this for over 15 years now. I worked at theme parks. I worked for touring companies like the Harlem Globetrotters until I was promoted to international tour manager, and I worked on cruise ships as well. And it's actually dancing that gave me this very opportunity to start this YouTube channel. Just to briefly somewhat set the stage here, breaking was initially announced to be in the Olympics back in 2020. Coincidentally, I just so happened to be in Paris with my wife Lauren at the time, and I was overall pretty excited among the other b-boys around the world, because believe it or not, the Olympics was not the first time that breaking has been subjected to a big crowd outside of entertainment and movies. If you want, you can look up events such as Red Bull BC1. It is a international breakdance event that happens every year. Freestyle session, culture shock, silverback events, you name it. Just shoot me a message, guys, and I will give you a list of all the international events that I go to. I'll be in Brazil later this year. I was in Paris last year. I'll be in Mexico in October, all for breakdance events. It's a very international, globalized thing that is somewhat, I want to say, in the underground these days, because back in the 70s and 80s, it got a little overexposed, made goofy into a trend, and honestly, there's a lot of controversy among the breaking scene because we don't want things to get too commercialized and, well, made fun of how it has been in the Olympics in some instances. Before we get to the overall commentary on the embarrassing moment in the event in general, as far as my thoughts, for whatever reason, people keep asking me, how come you didn't compete? Why didn't you try out for the Olympics? Well, first of all, I am not skilled enough for the Olympics. I am friends with some of the best in the world. In fact, my good friend Victor that I've known since I was 12 years old, he did win bronze, and I'm very proud of him as well as the rest of the scene here in Florida. He lives about an hour away from me over in Kissimmee. I live over in Tampa, so we battled each other a lot, and he used to beat me 100% of the time. Don't get me wrong, just to be clear, I am good at what I do. I did take a couple years off to focus on my YouTube channel, and during the pandemic, obviously, I have a child to take care of. I was 17 when I had him, and usually when it comes to dancing and breaking in general, you got two categories. You got the entertainment side, you got the competition side. Right now, at the moment, I am more so on the competition end. I am currently training literally every single day right now, falling on my face and bleeding and getting all scarred up. That's why I have these bandages and I have scars on my hands and my shoulders. It is just kind of part of the process. So yeah, I will be doing more competition, some entertainment here and there, but that's the gist of it as far as why I didn't even go out for the Olympics. Now, getting to the overall event, believe it or not, just like everything in life, there are a lot of politics that are involved. As far as breaking in the hip hop scene in general, well, hip hop has gone one way over here in 2024, and breaking is still, we would argue, the last true lineage or example of what hip hop was and what it should be as far as a positive example, and something that is done in the traditional art form. There have been arguments over the years about the judging system and the music that would be used and how the competitors would be selected, and well, obviously, in a lot of those categories, some things fell just a little short. For example, many of you have heard at this point in time, if you watch even a snippet of the women's portion of the breaking part of the Olympics, there was a woman by the name of Ray Gunn. Now, I'll be honest with you, I know most B-boys and B-girls out there that are on the, what I call, international level, and I had never even heard of Ray Gunn. Many people hadn't. We know that over in Australia, they may have like a breaking scene, but it's not to the point to where the B-boys and B-girls, for the most part, are very well known. This woman had just won some competition, oceanic something, and automatically qualified for the Olympics. And there's a lot of controversy, not only with the general public making fun of her because she kind of made breaking look not so good. We'll put it that way. In a very, very bad light, to the point where people didn't want to watch the men's category, and especially with how social media is, people only saw that one clip and made a general statement and opinion about the entire event without taking a look at all the amazing performers that were going on. Not to say Ray Gunn wasn't good in her own right. I do admire the confidence. However, was she on the international skill level as the rest of the women that were out there? Absolutely not, and that is not even an argument. I will admit, some of the jokes and videos that we're putting out about her were pretty funny, at least amongst the community, because we kind of have like a brother-sister bond in the breaking community. But when it expanded to big media and just people in general that are literal couch potatoes and couldn't even do one push-up talking about her, it gets to a point to where it gets a little annoying, especially when those people are considering her the example of what breaking actually was, without even taking a second to watch the full women's category or the full men's category. Overall, just to conclude, aside from the Ray Gunn fiasco and some questionable judging calls, there were a few that were there, I'll be honest with all of you. The event was great, it was historic, and for people like myself and the rest of the breaking community, we had a party, we were all watching. It was something that I learned and looked at when I was very young, and it has literally changed my life, and to see it in the Olympics, there is just something magical about it. it, I do implore and I would hope all of you go watch the men's division and women's division over in breaking without just looking at that ray gun situation and then give you a real perspective. There are a lot of arguments on whether it should or should not be in the Olympics because, yes, it's still a dance, a very athletic dance, because trust me, it takes a lot out of you. However, I do understand the criticisms and the people that prefer maybe baseball or something else as opposed to breaking being put in. And now there's the conversation and people saying that it was so bad that it won't be there in 2028. Do keep in mind that there are a very limited number of slots as far as the types of events that will be in the Olympics year after year. And this is something as far as breaking that was determined over a year ago, with it being in the, or rather not being in the LA 2028 Olympics. I would argue unless it absolutely blew everyone away, however this dance is of course misunderstood, it wasn't coming back. And I think everybody, myself included and the rest of the dancers, understood and accept that. So it is what it is. But that's my two-piece on breaking in the Olympics. Great event. Like I said, please go watch it and be amazed at how a lot of those dancers are. I've seen a lot of them in person. I know a couple of them, including my friend Victor again. Shout out to him. And well, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And know as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. Take it easy.